I'm setting off on the greatest journey of my life.
Let's do this!
To travel around the globe by train.
No idea what platform we're going from.
I'll be riding some of the most spectacular rail routes on Earth.
On the fastest, steepest and most luxurious trains, passing through some of the world's most famous places.
The Eiffel Tower, Grand Central Station.
There it is, Mount Fuji. And beyond, to parts of the planet I never knew existed.
We're totally isolated.
To immerse myself.
This isn't for anything. This is just what people do on a Sunday.
In the weird, the wild, and the wonderful.
This is unlike anything I've ever done before.
This time, my journey takes me across Japan. This place is famous for the bullet train, but I'll be venturing off the main line too to explore this fantastic country. I'm starting my trip on Kyushu, Japan's most southerly major island, before speeding on to Kyoto and Tokyo at 200 miles per hour. I'll finish up 1,200 miles later in Hakodate in the far north. It's autumn here, and the countryside is a blaze of gorgeous colour. This is my first visit to Japan, and absolutely everything feels completely new to me.
First things first, this is not a costume. I got into my hotel last night and the hotel manager insisted that I wear this kimono-y thing all the while I'm at the hotel. And then the shoe thing started. See these plastic ones? I'm only allowed to wear them outside here on the decking, and then when I get into here, I wear bare feet until I come to the front door where I have to put these on. Have a look, look, there's a little gap. See that there? Between my big toe and the other ones, in order to contain that thing. But then, and this is quite extraordinary, when I go to the toilet, I have special toilet slippers. Japan has done my head in, and I haven't even got my shoes on yet.
To make matters worse, when I was a kid, the Japanese were the enemy. It was just after the Second World War, and everyone's mum and dad told terrible stories of the cruelty in Japanese prisoner of war camps. It wasn't until the 1960s that anyone round my way even bought a Japanese car. Those days are behind us now, and I'm looking forward to seeing how a new generation has shaped modern Japan. Ever since the first railway line was built from Tokyo in the 1800s, the country's been obsessed by trains. 17,000 miles of track now cover the length and breadth of Japan, which has the third busiest network in the world. My first stop is Beppu, famous because of its unique geology. It's built on top of thousands of hot springs, and as a result, you can see steam escaping out of the ground all over the city.
The whole town looks like it's leaking steam and no one's noticing.
Yeah, once we had somebody calling the fire brigade by mistake, thinking there's a big fire going on, and he was, of course, a tourist and didn't know all about this venting steam.
My guide, Yoyomi, is giving me a flavour of life in a town that's literally built on steam. As well as providing a tourist attraction, the hot water's used by the town's residents for their everyday activities. It's piped into homes to provide heating and used in restaurants to make the local cuisine. These are Beppu's ominously named 8 hells, where the water gushes out of the ground at almost boiling point.
No!
Oh no, God, I pressed the wrong thing.
No, you did
Is that right?
You did it right.
So here you can cook a whole meal in steam from the earth.
Off we go. Plonk, yep, and put the lids back on. The alarm's going.
In less than 20 minutes.
This is really, really gorgeous. That really is the dog's Wotsits, isn't it?
There are lots of clever ways to use this stuff.
This is the first time I've ever steamed my feet.
Some more immersive than others.
My feet is coming out.
You tuck them back in. It is a bit like being wrapped up in a big duvet and getting warmer and warmer.
This is Beppu's hot spring-infused sand. The treatment's designed to create a subterranean sauna, opening the pores and relieving stress.
The only thing I'm nervous about is sometimes I really want to scratch my face.
I was thinking exactly that right now.
Could you ask Maggie if she can scratch my nose, just the left-hand side of my nose?
トニーの鼻の左側を描いてほしいそうです。
Oh, that is so good.
Okay.
Thank you, lady who's burying me alive. Oh, that was top.
Anywhere in the world you've got hot springs, you have nice hot bathing pools. In Japan, they're called onsen.
In Britain, they say that this kind of bathing began with the Georgians, don't they, or the Romans. And around here, they say it was started by the samurai. And I'm sure that there is a lot of truth in it, but I reckon that there is a bigger truth too. And that is that as long as there have been people pacing the earth, they have loved getting into warm water and listening to the trickle of water. I reckon even in Stone Age times, they used to take the weekend off and bring the kids here and just sit down and have a nice time. It's actually boiling hot in here. Would you mind shifting the camera so I can get out without showing everyone the chopstick?
I've got 1,200 miles to cover. But I'm not taking just any old train. This is the Seven Stars, one of the most exclusive in the world. Trips cost up to £10,000. Even so, demand is so high that prospective passengers sometimes have to enter a lottery for tickets.
Oh my goodness. Look at this. Look at this lovely, elegant bar. The singing, it's just gorgeous. Oh. How wonderful is this?
This is Japan's answer to the Orient Express. And every last detail has been made as opulent and luxurious as possible. At the back there's even a huge panoramic window, so when the train's moving, passengers are given a spectacular view.
Your own bar. Oh, look at this. This is even more exclusive than the rest of the exclusive carriage. Imagine 26 millionaires and you're the one billionaire. Go away. This is probably the most luxurious train in the world. Only 30 passengers a time have the privilege of travelling in it. So as I'm heading north on my journey around the world, why don't I do it in absolute style on this magnificent train? 10 grand a ticket, that's why. Bye! That's mine.
Still to come, my journey continues with my first trip on Japan's famous bullet train.
Oh, won't you look at this? Hi.
I get spiritual in Kyoto, and I have a stab at being a samurai.
Well, it died.
One of Japan's national symbols is the samurai, the legendary sword-wielding warriors. I'm crossing the island of Kyushu to visit Kumamoto, where the samurai made their last stand against the Imperial Army 150 years ago. The area is still home to one of the last remaining master swordsmiths. Matsunaga Genrokuro has been making this famous weapon for 40 years. Some swords can fetch up to £10,000, but I'm being given the chance to use one and getting a lesson in the ancient art of swordsmanship.
I'm not quite sure what's happening at the moment. As soon as I walked in here, two people kind of mugged me and took my shoes off. and put me on here. Okay, hey, thank you very much.
In the past, the samurai knights would have tested their swords on human flesh, but that might be a bit messy. So today, we're using rolled-up bamboo mats. Although the samurai lost their power in the 1800s, the strict code of honour that they lived by still shapes Japanese culture, emphasising courage, loyalty and self-denial. It seems there's a similarly tough set of rules for me to follow today. If only I could understand them.
No
idea what he's saying.
こうじゃなくてこの上に、はい、これはノーですね。
It's just somebody talking in a foreign language while I hold a deadly weapon.
High speed. No, high speed. はい。High speed ですよ。
High speed.
The question is, can I cut it as a samurai?
おお、なかなかそれでよく切ると。
Well, it died.
角度はいいですね。ハイスピードですね。
Yeah.
最大の上を変えて振ります。
もう少しスピード。
ハイスピードですね。はい、奥棚を絶対。
Look, let's go again and let's do it properly this time.
はい。
Oh, it fell! It fell!
おお、わお。
Get in, my son.
Finally, I'm on a roll.
Ha! Ha!
おし、ナイス。おし。
Yeah, all right if I do this one in slow motion.
Okay.
Okay. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's time for the Shinkansen. Or to you and me, the bullet train. Just look at it. This is a thoroughbred.
Oh, won't you look at this? Don't you just want to give it a handful of grass or something? It's so ridiculous. The bullet train is so ultra sophisticated and kind of sexy and animalistic on the outside. Inside it's just a train, just another train. It's a bit disappointing, really.
But it is a train that goes up to 200 miles per hour. The Shinkansen was the world's first high-speed commercial rail line, opening over 50 years ago in 1964 as the fastest train on the planet. Now, the network covers the length and breadth of Japan, with over 1,000 scheduled journeys per day. So far from being something special, for the Japanese commuters, it's become just ordinary. The bullet train is taking me on to Kyoto, covering 400 miles in less than 3 hours. That's the same distance as London to Edinburgh, but nearly twice as fast. From Kyoto, I'm making a detour and stopping off in Wakayama. All over the world, remote railway lines struggle to stay in business. But the Wakayama Electric Railway came up with a uniquely Japanese way to save their local train. The railway is now a huge success, and it's all thanks to cats.
Good Lord. Is this cat stuffed? Oh, it's moved. It's alive. I thought you were showing me a dead cat. Why is she here?
彼女も駅長この中で駅長さんの業務してます。
Working as a station master. Can we have a closer look at her?
できます。Let's go, let's ride.
These cute cats have become big business. They're believed to have contributed nearly £6 million to Wakayama's economy. A stray cat called Tama was first made an honorary station master in 2007. The idea quickly captured the public's imagination, and the arrival of new passengers helped bring the line back into profit. Tama's successor, Nitama, is still drawing in the crowds.
Are you a tourist?
Yes. Yep, from Texas.
And you came all the way to meet the cat?
Yes. Well, we came to Japan,
Yeah.
but I did make a special trip out here while I was in Japan to come out here, yeah.
Did you know about this cat already?
Yes. I really liked Tama, and so that I painted Tama.
Yeah.
And so then I wanted to come and meet Nitama.
You're a little bit obsessed, aren't you?
I love cats, so yeah.
Tell me what you know about Tama.
I know that when she passed away, she was enshrined as a goddess, and
She was what, did you just say?
she was elevated to a goddess status.
This has gone far beyond a successful PR stunt. The cats have taken on a big significance for the people of Wakayama. When the first Tama died in 2015, 3,000 people came to her funeral.
There's two stories going on here, aren't there? One is you had this failing railway line, losing loads of money. They got rid of all the staff in their stations. Someone had this crazy idea of getting a stray cat to become the station master. It went viral, turned the company's fortunes round, and there was a happy ending. But there's a second story too. This is a Shinto shrine. Before I do anything here, I have to bow twice, clap, bow again, then pray or ring the bell. The shrine is dedicated to that cat. These two representations here are of the cat, who has become a deity, a god now, within this shrine. It says something about the relationship between the Japanese and animals that I don't quite understand.
So it appears that in Shintoism, Japan's traditional religion, this cat can become a goddess simply because she brought such good fortune to the railway. In fact, almost anything can be a god here, from the smallest inanimate object to the mightiest force of nature. For more than 1,000 years, Kyoto was Japan's imperial capital. And it's still the country's spiritual centre, home to over 2,000 temples and shrines. I'm at Fushimi Inari, a vast Shinto complex that has its origins in the 8th century.
This structure is an enormous pathway leading up towards the mountain, because in the Shinto religion, anything can be a god. You know, a cat who's a station master can be a god, but likewise the big mountain can be a seriously important god. You can understand why in Japan a mountain would be a god, given how the Japanese have constantly been bombarded by earthquakes and volcanoes and that sort of thing. You'd want to placate the mountain, wouldn't you?
Shinto is all about recognising the spirits in the everyday world. But it's a bit hard to feel spiritual when you're surrounded by thousands of other tourists. This is more like it.
Start paying attention to the sensation of breathing.
I'm getting a lesson in meditation.
At the end of the meditation, I ring this one once. Then I use this one again. Then you take this gassho pose and a bow. So that's the end of meditation.
Shinto rituals are not the only spiritual practices popular in Japan. There's also a strong Buddhist tradition, and a fundamental part of that is meditation, as Zen Buddhist priest Takafumi Kawakami is showing me.
So first part is more focus on the calming down.
Yeah.
Then second part is actually learning how to sustain your attention. Well, this case is a breathing-based meditation, bring your attention back to your breath whenever your attention goes somewhere else. And then after that, start paying attention to how's emotion emerging through your bodily sensation.
When you talk about detail and awareness, what I see is Japanese culture. It seems to me that Japanese culture is very influenced by Buddhism. Do you think that's right?
I think that, yeah, true, because meditation, Buddhism, you really talk about this, attention to, like a subtle reaction to the situation. So it keeps attention in a way, paying attention to the details. We have this expression called kuki o yomu, literally means reading the air.
Reading the air.
Reading the air.
That's a lovely
right?
phrase. Yeah.
It's hard to translate, but it's kind of reading the nuance or reading how other people actually feeling through non-verbal expression, like eye contact, body language. So Japan's more sociocentric society, so it's heavy on the harmony, not offending anybody, but keeping this harmonious environment, atmosphere. I think that's how this type of culture evolved in a way.
I'm beginning to figure out something that at first I found pretty off-putting. The formality and politeness in Japan's society. It's not just about strict manners for their own sake, but a Buddhist approach to life where genuine harmony with your fellow citizens is really important. With its temples, monks and geishas, Kyoto is synonymous with traditional Japan. But there's another side to the country that I haven't explored yet. Tokyo.
Oh, look at this.
From neon nightlife
Hardly anybody's looking at him. It's gone freaking zilla.
to street-style makeovers.
It's quite liberating, actually. It's like being in drag.
I'm halfway through my rail journey across Japan. It's 300 miles to my next stop, Tokyo. By bullet train, it takes just 2.5 hours through some of Japan's most famous scenery.
I asked the woman who was collecting the tickets if we would see Mount Fuji, and she said yes at 10:56. Well, it's 10:56 now. There it is. It's incredibly symmetrical, isn't it? In Japan, even nature is neat and precise.
The railways in Japan are famous for their punctuality. The average delay for these bullet trains is just 54 seconds. And this is one of the busiest lines in the world. During peak times, a train arrives every 5 minutes, meaning the Shinkansen service to Tokyo can be more frequent than some lines on the London Underground.
But now this is going to be a real gear change. I'm heading for Tokyo. The bright lights, the big city, cartoons, lots of people going like that for their selfies. I'm not quite sure what to expect. In my mind's eye, it's a bit like a kind of hyped-up version of Blade Runner, but whatever it's going to be like, I'm really excited.
The capital handles 13 billion passenger rail trips every year. Not so surprising, given Tokyo is the world's most populated city, home to 37 million people. The hyper-developed city I expected is easy to find. You can get a hot cuppa in a can.
Cafe au lait sounds all right, isn't it?
Here it comes, straight away.
And it's piping hot.
For businessmen working long hours, there's the Capsule Hotel. Even the taxis are high-tech.
These doors close on their own, watch.
But to really get a feel for Tokyo, it's best to experience it at night. I'm heading to Shinjuku, an area famous for its nightlife. As the sun goes down, the city lights up in neon.
Oh, what's going on here?
To try and make sense of the madness, I'm meeting up with Yumi for a whistle-stop tour. She's Tokyo born and bred and is an expert on life in the capital.
Did you see Godzilla up there?
Oh, yeah. Hey, look. I love the fact that hardly anybody's looking at him. Yeah. It's gone freaking zilla. Ooh. Oh, look at this.
I've been to some of the biggest cities in the world, but Tokyo at night is something else.
You don't have to do anything.
No, this is just a photo booth.
With blinding lights and wall-to-wall noise everywhere, it's an overwhelming assault on the senses.
Some people are like super pro, like this.
The Japanese do cute like no other culture I know,
Oh yeah,
don't they?
we're taking it a whole another level.
Yeah, and look at that. That is so cute, it makes me want to vomit.
And of course, course, anime. You cannot forget the anime culture of Tokyo.
Yeah.
This is the stress relief. You just like flip the table over. And they
really?
can measure how annoyed you are, you know, how stressed you are. So you tap it, that's gonna increase the anger. And then flip it.
Oh, they went!
Yeah, there you go.
I gotcha!
In a city this crowded, space is at a premium. And old neighbourhoods are right up against new ones.
Oh, this is so pretty.
Yes, this street is called Omoide Yokocho. In English, it's memory lane.
It is brilliant, isn't it? It's really evocative.
It's just amazing, like how tiny every shops are.
Yeah.
It's just so tiny.
And they're all so full. That's the other thing.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
like old
Yes.
Japan.
In one of the world's busiest cities, many people wear face masks, and I'd always assumed it was for hygiene reasons. And while that may be true for a lot of people, it seems for some there's another more subtle reason.
Japanese people, we all concerned about what others think about ourselves.
Yeah.
So we always, you know, try to keep our reputation as the best as we could. And that's why we cover
Your
the
face. Because if
Yeah.
you're wearing a mask, actually nobody can see
Yes.
what you look like or how you feel,
Yes.
so they can't think bad things about you.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so sweet. I want to go up to someone with a mask and say, it's all right, lighten up. We hadn't even
put this
noticed
thing
you.
on.
We're not worried about who you are.
So we don't want to stand out from, you know, like the same community. So there's a harmony, you know, in the whole culture,
Yeah.
like in Japanese culture, and then we respect that harmony, like maybe too much.
I find that really fascinating because for me, as an old hippie, harmony is something beautiful, something to be worked for, something to be attained. But what you're saying is harmony actually can mean don't rock the boat.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's so important to fit into Japanese society, many people work hard to conform to what's expected of them. Perhaps the most famous example of this are the suited salarymen, the white-collar employees who sacrifice everything in service of their companies. And Tokyo is the centre of this demanding work culture. But not everyone here wants to wear a suit.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah, love it.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, great.
This is Harajuku, a Tokyo neighbourhood known for its unusual street fashion.
Let's try a couple of different jackets.
I'm really fond of this one.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that might be a little much, though.
Jun Yan, a designer, and Emily, originally from America, are giving me a makeover in the cute and colourful Harajuku style.
And the monster.
And the monster, yeah.
Definitely need a monster.
That suits you, Tony. Thank you very much. I'm being heckled by an Englishman.
If you
Oh, the
feel like
ring,
it
yeah.
doesn't match, you're doing it right. Do you feel appropriately Harajuku?
It's just quite liberating, actually. It's like being in drag. Suddenly it's a completely different you. Should we hit town?
Yeah, let's take it on a test run.
The Harajuku theme is taken to a new level at the local Monster Cafe. Absolutely everything is decorated in the kawaii style, the Japanese word for cute. Harajuku is home to one of Japan's many inventive subcultures, popular with young people who want to go against the grain.
Adulthood in Japan has very specific tenets. You get married, you have children, you work for 40 years, you retire. And for a lot of people, especially during the 80s and 90s, immediately after the economy, like the bubble burst, they were disillusioned. And that life is still something that a lot of young people just don't either want or can't achieve. And so kind of a kickback from that, like, very deliberate, elegant, keep things to yourself kind of adulthood, you get stuff like this. You get this explosion of childhood fantasy.
So this is the absolute alternative of the multinational company that you go into when you're 18, you serve it 16 hours a day until you're 65.
Yeah, most of Japan's subcultures are really kicking back against that, like, daily grind.
Which is what punk was doing in the 70s.
Exactly,
in
it's a
England.
very similar motivation. Actually, a lot of subcultures here in Harajuku were born from late teens, early 20-year-olds going, I don't want to be a corporate person. I don't want to work only for the rest of my life. I want to enjoy something else. There were people who felt much more comfortable dressing up and like feeling that security from being childish, from enjoying the times when you didn't have the responsibilities of like working for everything.
I've just realised that it is simply another aspect of being Japanese, isn't it? In a funny sort of way, it's really retreating, it's gentle.
Yeah.
I understand now why some of Tokyo's young people want to look as different as possible from the suited salarymen. Just like the hippies and the punks, they're refusing to conform. It's just that they're doing it with colourful clothes and childish characters. But Harajuku style is just one part of Japan's huge pop culture scene, which is now world famous. From anime cartoons to J-pop music to video games, something about Japan's cute and quirky inventions has captured imaginations far beyond Tokyo.
That was just the most extraordinary morning. Incredible confrontation with a new pop culture that I knew absolutely nothing about. I suppose one of the really good things about pop culture is it's young people looking at the previous generation and doing something completely opposite. So there's been this incredibly oppressive international capitalist series of organisations that have dominated Japan since the 1970s, and the sons and daughters of the people who worked in them are saying, whoa, we don't want to do that.
Still to come, I ask for help navigating the world's busiest metro.
160, thank you. That was a surprise.
I experience another element of Japanese culture.
It's like a really bad first date.
And I sample sushi up north.
Is this the right thing to do? You're laughing at me.
If you want.
If you want.
I'm nearing the end of my rail journey across Japan. Before I head north out of the capital, I've got one last thing to see in Tokyo. To get there, I'm taking the subway.
This is rush hour at Shinjuku Station, which is one of Tokyo's largest.
Tokyo has the world's busiest metro system, ferrying more than 8.7 million commuters across the city every day.
Right. English, please touch the fare button. Does it mean just how much it's going to be? Well, I don't know. I've got a help button here. Oh, hello. I want to go to Shibuya.
Shibuya 150.
150. So I just put...
160.
160, thank you. That was a surprise. I've never seen that before. 160, right.
Just as I'm beginning to feel like I understand Japan, there's something new to make sense of. Japan is obsessed with mascots. From prisons to mountains to whole towns, the Japanese have come up with cute characters to represent almost every brand, place and government agency in the country.
Thank you so much for the dancing. Thank you very much.
The demand for mascots is so high that on the outskirts of Tokyo is the world's only mascot school, where Choco Ohira trains students on how to bring the characters to life.
How long have they been working on this?
まあ1日ずっとやるわけではないので、レッスンの中の30分前半をダンスの振り付けとかでやるので、まあ1月ぐらいで皆さん覚えていただいてますね。
And do they go to festivals, to carnivals? Where do they perform?
いろんな仕事をやってもらうようにしてます。お芝居の方に行く人、それからグリーティングっていうお仕事もありますし、あとテーマパークとかに行ってオーディションで受かってテーマパークに行く人もいますので、もういろんなところで活躍してます。
Being a mascot is actually a viable career choice. There are thousands of mascots across the country, 250 in Tokyo alone. One estimate puts the industry's value at some £12 billion. This bunny has volunteered to show me just how popular they are with members of the public. Unfortunately, mascots aren't allowed to speak.
You're not going to talk to me at all, are you? It's like a really bad first date.
Unlike ordinary Japanese, mascots don't have to worry about being reserved in public.
Leave you alone. You work the crowd. There's no irony about that rabbit as far as these people are concerned. You have mascots in England at the football, don't you? But everyone's taking the mick out of them, really. But here, they're just enjoying them because they're lovely. So that's half a day I've spent with those animals. How do I feel about it? Well, a bit uneasy, really. A bit like I've just overdosed at the pick and mix counter and end up feeling guilty and a little bit sick. But then I probably don't see it in the same way that Japanese people do. I probably just don't get it, do I?
I'm rejoining the rails and leaving Tokyo.
I've just noticed that the train, which has come in and is now going to go back out again, they've swiveled the seats, all of them, around 180 degrees, so everyone's going to be facing the right way. That's so cool.
From the capital, I'm travelling 200 miles to the coastal town of Sendai. I'm on the Tohoku Shinkansen, the bullet train line running to the top of Japan's main island, Honshu.
We're heading north, but we've stopped off for a moment at Sendai Station. Do you hear those birds? They're not actually birds, it's just an electronic recording. It's Japan.
This recorded birdsong is apparently designed to guide blind people to the exits, another example of that Japanese attention to detail. 45 minutes from Sendai Station is Matsushima Bay, one of Japan's most scenic places.
You get such a sense here of Japan as an island, or rather as islands. There's about 8,000 altogether, 270 odd in this bay alone. These little islands are so pretty, aren't they? They're like something out of a Japanese painting.
Because Japan's got so many islands, it wasn't always easy to connect up the country by rail. In 1988, there was an important breakthrough when the Seikan Tunnel opened, connecting the main island of Honshu with Hokkaido, an engineering masterpiece. Today, it remains the world's longest and deepest undersea rail tunnel. My journey ends at Hakodate, the northern terminal of the bullet train. I don't think I'd ever realised just how long Japan actually is. It's 1,800 miles from top to bottom.
Remember, a week ago, I was sunning myself in the black sand right down south. And today, welcome to northern Japan.
This region is the seafood capital of Japan, known for its huge variety of local fish. Ken Hasegawa, a sushi chef with 20 years in the business, is making me lunch. And I'm being joined by Kay, a Hakodate local.
Now, I'm the world's worst person with chopsticks. Is this the right thing to do? You're laughing at me.
If you want.
If you want. That's just politeness. Another thing about the Japanese is that they're not only polite, but a lot of the time they're very humble.
We think it's a kind of virtue to be sort of humble, to be reserved. And see, in the Japanese society, a tall tree catches much wind.
A tall tree catches much wind, yeah. I like
And
that.
also, we are trying to live in harmony with each other.
Yeah.
To be in harmony with nature, to be in harmony with the people around you is very, very important. So in that case, if you just insist your own opinion, it might offend other people. That might be a little bit coward in a way, but we prefer to be a reserved attitude like this.
Yeah.
I had been a teacher at a high school, and students studied abroad for 1 year or so and came back to Japan. They came differently because they speak up. I think I would say this, I would say that. And finally, they have a culture shock.
Yeah.
They cannot live in Japanese society. So that kind of phenomena is now happening.
This is my favourite so far.
Ah, 大好きですって。
Japan has felt very foreign to me.
Yes.
And there's still parts of the culture that I can't get my head around. I don't know if I'll ever quite understand the dressing up and the love of all things cute. But talking to Japanese people, I've learned how hard this society works to be harmonious in everything. And I admire that.
I love their attention to detail, the way that every little garden needs to be so well kept, and the food on a plate has to be so neat and well ordered, and even when you're being given the bill by the man in the hotel, the way he does it is so polite and just exquisite. And I've learned how to smile and nod and bow, just about. I know when you're supposed to take your shoes off and when you're supposed to put them back on again. In fact, if I've learned anything at all from this Japanese trip, it's that back home, I really am a bit of a slob.
Next time, I'm in the United States, where I continue my adventure on some of the world's greatest train routes. From California and Colorado...
What kind of stuff do they eat?
Marshmallows, cookies.
Marshmallows?
...to America's deep south, New Orleans.
What? Don't just stand there on the sidelines, tell me what to do.
And the Big Apple, where I explore behind the scenes of the largest railway station in the world. It's extraordinary.
You can see that at the same time next week. Explore the Tube's Victorian past and get a peek of the future as the team gets special access to Crossrail in New London, 2,000 years of history, tomorrow at 9:15. Next, we join the team as they prepare to raid a pub that's suspected to be a favourite haunt of drug dealers. Traffic Cops Under Siege is after the break.